Hey people, welcome to the Rubin Report. I'm the human filibuster, Dave Rubin, and I've got Vanessa Gomez and Whitney Mixter with me. We got a ton of great stories for you. We're in the midst of a 24-hour period right now where there is more speaking than probably has ever been done in the history of humanity. Literally just like 5 minutes ago, Ted Cruz ended his 21-hour filibuster. That's a lot of talking even for a politician. And then over in New York at the United Nations, which I also refer to lovingly as the Legion of Doom, they've been having the General Assembly, and a lot of talking. Not much action, a lot of talking. So we're going to get to all that and plenty more, including diet fries from Burger King. But let's start with the General Assembly in New York. This is every year. Everybody gets together. They put on their suits. They pretend they like each other, and they give big speeches, which are going to be going on all week. This really is all, right now at least, about Iran and their new president, Rouhani. And President Obama is trying to be buddy-buddy with them. And let's take a listen.
In the near term, America's diplomatic efforts will focus on two particular issues: Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons and the Arab-Israeli conflict. While these issues are not the cause of all the region's problems, they have been a major source of instability for far too long, and resolving them can help serve as a foundation for a broader peace. The United States and Iran have been isolated from one another since the Islamic Revolution of 1979. This mistrust has deep roots. Iranians have long complained of a history of U.S. interference in their affairs and of America's role in overthrowing an Iranian government during the Cold War. On the other hand, Americans see an Iranian government that has declared the United States an enemy and directly or through proxies taken American hostages, killed U.S. troops and civilians, and threatened our ally Israel with destruction.
Okay, so first off, I just want to note that I feel like Obama had just the right amount of gray in his hair for that. You know, they adjust his gray depending on how serious they want him to be. I feel like they really nailed it with that one. So Rouhani is the new president. They're calling him a moderate. They're saying he's on a charm offensive right now. He also is not denying the Holocaust like Ahmadinejad. He just says he's not a historian. So I guess that's progress somehow. What do you guys make of this? The overture is going on here, this little dance. You know, they didn't meet. They said they were going to maybe meet at a lunch, but then it turned out there was wine at the lunch, so Rouhani didn't want to go to a place where alcohol was being served. But what do you think of this whole idea of putting on a suit and everybody coming and at least talking? That does seem like maybe that's a little bit of progress, right?
I mean, I think it's the United States way of just being nice. I think there should be like a guy next to Obama being like, look, here's the thing. You guys are shady as fuck. We know it. Everybody knows it. That's just what we know. But we can't be the bad guy and come in there and just, you know, because we have a bad reputation to just come in and storm and say, you got to change everything. So we're like, you know what? We don't want to change your operation. We don't want to mess with you. We just don't want you having weapons of mass destruction and killing everybody. So we're just going to play nice. And then, you know, when I was a kid, it was like, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. You know what I mean? Like, it was like, you know, as long as you cool, we cool. But when you start something, we're going to end it and it's not going to be good. So, I mean.
That would be a good name for a foreign policy.
Don't start nothing, won't be. I'm saying. I mean, listen, they have proven over and over again that every treaty they go into, they breach in some way or whatever. I mean, not just to us, and Obama pointed that out. He's like, look, it's not even just, you know, our beef. It's like everybody's beef. Yeah. And you're picking on, you know, Islam, and that's, you know, that's a sore spot for us too. So I think it's just our nicety way of not just barging in as we maybe would before. Like, look, we're trying to do this civil. We're trying to do this peacefully. We're trying to, you know, I think it's more of like a front like that, so that when we do eventually go in barging, that it's like, when we're rolling hard, like, hey, you brought it, you know?
So is that really what's going on? Because it does seem good to me on its face. It seems good. We're talking again.
So
maybe
much seems good on the, I mean, at face value, there's so many aspects of government can seem great. I think, though, going along with what you were saying, I think that it would give added, you know, value if they played the theme song from Colors in the background while like he was doing it, you know, and like there's like, you know, you could get like hood with it. Come on, let's call it what it is here. Like, you know, I think Obama, first of all, the way he delivers his speeches in general, I always wait for that pause. I feel like I'm like getting lulled to sleep, like by this like George Clooney of a president.
Yeah. What didn't this speech seem particularly pausey?
Yes.
I thought he was very slow in this
It's
one.
very slow,
deliberate.
and there's like a pause before he says 1979. I'm like, what's gonna happen? And it pans to John Kerry, who's actually sitting there like this, like watching him, like with like a downturned face.
Well, he can't really move his face at this point, so that's not necessarily indicative of what Obama's saying. Yeah.
But you know, I think his approach is very like you said, like very homey approach, very laissez-faire. Like, you know what? Let's just call it even. Yeah. Screw it. You know, I think you did your fair share. We did our fair share. Let's just, truce, homie. Like, let's do this.
But that's what I mean by progress, because we never had an American president that went to the United Nations and was like, you guys have some valid reasons for hating us. You know, we had Bush before this, and nothing was ever our
No, we just
fault.
barged in. That's what I mean. And we're like showing face.
So the idea of talking, even though they didn't do the handshake, and that's obviously not going to happen this week, it basically seems pretty good, right? Like, do you think there's any, a lot of Republicans are saying, well, this is bad because,
well, at least we thought about talking.
Right.
We at least thought about it. That's close enough.
That's it's like in a relationship. You're like, dude, I gave you the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you're using it just so later down the line, because you know you're going to end up later down the line, that you could use that and pull out that card and be like, remember we wanted to talk it out? Okay, well, talking's over. Welcome to the missiles or whatever.
So do you guys both think that that's really what's going on here? This is just the nice talk before ultimately something has to be done?
Based on history?
Or will be done?
Yeah, I mean, it's an idealistic approach. I mean, in reality, it's an idealistic approach. We have to see how things pan out with, who sticks to their word longer? It's like a waiting game. You know, it's a chess game. That's literally what's happening here.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoever acts first, it's gonna come to a head.
Yeah. Well, I do have to say, I've been very hard on Obama lately, especially with all the serious stuff. But I do think the talking is sort of good, even if at the end it just means that the smackdown.
It is much more civil to do it that way, or to at least look or appear as though we're trying to go the peaceful route first. And then, that second.
Yeah.
So,
We're Americans. It's all about appearance here, apparently.